there are cycles in nature, all different kinds of cycles, like cycles of life, cycles of maturation, cycles of death. And it's like a non-judgment kind of fact. Like it's just scientific, you know? And he said maybe your just like natural cycle is like about a year and a half. Like not good, not bad, just is. And so my answer to your question is the last really big one that I can remember was more like 3 years ago, kind of mid-pandemic. There were just like a whole constellation of events in addition to the pandemic
Right.
that kind of created like this moment where everything just kind of splintered and made space for something new. But I've really like held on to what he said. Like, yeah, just what if we just have our own natural cycles? And cycles can shift, you know, but they've been frequent.
The cycle concept has been on my mind.
Mm.
I want to talk about your cycles, but I'll just tell you the context. Have you heard of a book called the Fourth Turning?
No, I'll write it down.
So that's the book that we just read or discussed rather a few days ago in my book club, um, and the first book was written in 1997, and then by two authors. One of the authors is deceased now, but the other author released like a, I'll call it a sequel last year in 2024. It also has fourth turning in the name, but probably has some extra language there. Since you haven't read it, I would just read that one because it encapsulates the concept of the first book definitely well enough, and it's modern. So look for that one. But as it pertains to cycles, the concept of the book, it revolves around what's referred to as the saculum, roughly the span of a human life span. The first cycle is called the high. Then you have an awakening. Then you have an unraveling. And then
Mm.
you have the fourth turning, which is a crisis, right? And interestingly, when this book was written for the first time in 1997, I think a lot of the prognostications became prescient, right? Because one is chaotic time. And what that means is like, well, we're, let's say, primitive people, and we're not sure if the sun will rise tomorrow because it rose today, but who knows if it'll rise tomorrow. Like, then there's the cyclical time, and then there's linear time. Human society has become much more linear in the way that society thinks about time. But this is a provocation to remind yourself how cyclical it really is.